Hi, it's a Navern here, from Gear in the Rear, or on the YouTube channel Casualty Gaming. And I have another game here that I want to commentate, as this one is a little bit different. Last time it was a HotS ZvT, and now this time it's going to be a HotS ZvZ. And the reason I chose this game, and I actually just played this game, was because it was against Mutas, and I felt like ZvZ was sort of a matchup that I was beginning to understand more and more, or at least the basics of it, and where to go from the basics. So it's going to be against a guy called Nitgrit. I'm pretty sure Nitgrit is a dubstep artist. I'm pretty sure I think I saw that somewhere between Idra's stream one time or another. And I'm just chatting with this guy, just random bickering and whatever. And he opens a 9 pool or something early pool, I guess. And I open my standard pool into hatch, and it actually goes horribly wrong for me. But I guess no one wants to hear spoilers yet or whatever. Even though I just totally spoiled it, and I don't actually do quite well against this 9 pool opening, but I do manage to make this game a bit more interesting regardless. And we're just still chatting, and I did like a 14 or 15 pool into like 16 hatch, because that's what I usually open up with. And if you saw my other ZvZ lecture thingy that I had back in Wings of Liberty, I sort of opened the same way, and I felt that since early game ZvZ hasn't really changed from Wings of Liberty into HotS, because nothing really changes until Burrow or Overlord Speed. That's the first HotS change. I guess that's a difference. There's not really a big difference is what I mean. So I see these links coming, and he keeps talking to me, and then I realize, okay, he keeps asking me stuff. And then I'm like, okay, now what do? I'm really scared, because I don't exactly... Usually I don't get supply blocked. I got really hard supply blocked, and either I can make some lings or make a queen, I guess. And then I just decide that, okay, maybe if I can wait a bit longer, because the hatchery can tank 6 lings for quite a bit. And he keeps rallying lings here. And I start to pull some drones. I start to select the drones I need to pull, but then as I get closer I realize, okay, this was actually really bad. A really late decision made by me, and it was actually just not a decision at all as a consequence. So I cancel the hatchery. I make another queen because I have a lot of money I need to spend. I get gas. It's a bit late. If I knew that I was going to lose a hatchery, I would have got it as soon as I realized that, but instead I see that he has done a hatch as well, so it's not going to be an all-in. And here's a big mistake where I lost track of my hotkeys, and the queen ended up paying the price with its life. So now I try to mine gas as soon as possible, and I know that he has a hatch, and I still have an overlord here, because I really wanted to know if he was going to make a queen from his natural or make it from his main and send it down to his natural, and I don't actually see it yet. Because if he made a queen from his main, which I guess he did, then he would be, this is kind of interesting. Because in the game I thought that I saw the hatchery moving, or producing a queen, that's why I moved my overlord back. Yep, it was producing a queen. It started moving, that's why I sent my overlord back. And this overlord wasn't so lucky as I get to catch it. And in the harvester tab, it is actually relatively equal, me actually ahead by a little bit, but if I don't get my expansion up relatively quickly, then I will start to fall behind in income. I will probably still fall behind if I don't make anything happen. That is why I keep churning out lings right now, because I know that, and I go for a Baneling-esque hoping to attack to stop him from droning, and if he stops droning, then I can start to catch back up in economy. But until then, Let's hope whatever else. And it seems like he started producing lots of lings as well, and I guess he was going for a really hard attack, and he hasn't really droned up at all, as I'm still relatively even with him in economy. And he doesn't know this. As he sends all these lings, I can see this with my overlord, and I tried to re-hotkey all these lings, but it didn't actually work out. I tried to leave 2 lings back at home to morph into Banes and defend, but instead it didn't happen. And luckily for me, he decided to go back to defend. I guess that would make sense because my units are already at his base doing damage if he wasn't there to defend. And I was kind of really trapped up here. I guess I could have moved the lings up more. These Banes could have got a really good shot off, but they only got semi-shots off. While he starts to make some lings, and we both sort of droned up a little bit, I guess. And I'm just going hardcore drones, and I realized that, okay, actually my lings that I tried to rehotkey didn't end up doing it, so I need to make lings really quickly, and I need to send my queen down here, because I need to get a good choke off, or a better SimCity with queens. And I start to make Banes as soon as possible. I see that the ling's coming with this overlord, and I should actually be fine. And here's the problem that most people make. I got a good transfuse off there, just because I didn't inject hoping that I would have energy for transfuse regardless. And the problem that most people is that as soon as they see this attack coming, they keep spamming instinctively. They keep spamming to spawn more Zerglings, and that's a problem that I ran into when I was a little bit less experienced. Is that I kept spamming Zerglings, and then like when the attack's done and he went back and I came back, I would have like 16 Zerglings, and they wouldn't be really doing anything, and I'd be like, oh wait, 16 Zerglings isn't really enough for attack. Should I make more? But if I make more and go attack, usually what happens is that my opponent already has defense prepared, and they can see that with their overlords, the attack with their overlords beforehand. And so I sent a Zergling scout, and it died, and it saw that he was going gas, and I knew that when I saw that he didn't have many drones on mining, so I knew that he was going for probably a Muta. And since I was like, okay, my layer is miles and miles, my tech is miles and miles behind, and my gas are even more behind, so I don't think I can win a Muta fight. But what I do know is that I have more drones than him. When I first did it, if we go back, when I first scouted him with the scouting lings before he made the gas, I knew that I was ahead in drones. And since I was ahead in drones, like right here, I was ahead in mineral drones. I mean, and mineral saturation as opposed to gas saturation. I was really far ahead. Even though he started to catch back up, I'm still ahead in minerals. So since I knew that I was ahead in mineral income, I could make the most of it by producing queens immediately. And since I can produce queens, I was trying to really go for a quick infestation pit because I had 4 gas geysers. I really don't believe in hydras, especially on this map where your third is so far away, and I need spread creep as soon as possible. And since it is so far away, and hydras don't really get mobility until their speed upgrade, and even then they are much slower than mutas, which are really quick. And I decided to spend all my minerals. Since I was fully saturated on 2 base, I decided to spend all my minerals onto Zerglings, harass his third, and hopefully he has to defend it with lings of his own instead of making drones. And I morphed some banelings just for some fighting. And I see these, I wasn't really watching here, and I lost some lings to bad micro, but I didn't really need the lings. I got the hatchery to cancel off, and my hatchery's really far ahead. And now I'm just trying to bank as much gas and spend as many minerals as I can on queens and burrow. It's a little bit sloppy here, I guess, not making another queen, but that's not too bad. It is actually pretty bad, but not as bad as, you know, something worse, like forgetting pathogen glands or getting infestors, as it is a very, very like calm before the storm situation where something is going to happen. I have some transfuses that I saved up on these queens. I started to hotkey my hatcheries and changing them from hatchery hotkeys, from queen hotkeys to hatchery hotkeys, because I knew that my queens would have to start moving around a lot. And I see some mutas here, and since I don't really have actually coming back on it, I should have definitely moved my queens here, but I did not think that I would make it on time. I would rather engage him with infestors, but now looking back on the replay, I definitely should have came down here and fought. Maybe backed up before he had that many mutas, but regardless, that is something I've learned just watching this replay. And I knew that he was going to not be happy with just killing off my third. He would probably try to poke around. Obviously, it's just a mistake not to send in one ling to scout, or a couple lings to scout first to see when my tech is done. And he ends up getting fungal pretty hard and losing a lot of health on those mutas. But since I only had 2 infestors, as I canceled the 2 that was making out of this hatchery by accident, that I made them at the third by accident, and not canceling them by accident, he's actually able to run away. And since they're really fast and they have mutalist regen, it was actually kind of wasted fungals. But it sort of made him go backwards. And I don't know if you noticed, but I actually pulled all my overlords back except one. This one, which was scouting his third timing, because I really didn't want to lose that many overlords to mutalist. And I end up losing like 2 or 3. But that is because they were still making it back, and they couldn't get back home in time. And he loses a couple mutalists. Oops. He loses a couple mutalists to fungals as he was a bit overeager. I'll just speed this up. And I really want to go for a +1 timing, and I clicked my Evo chamber. I was like, okay, wait. I don't think I want to attack before as soon as possible at his third, because my third is far behind now. And I get really good fungals off right here. And he starts losing lots of mutas, as now I have enough infestors to do chain fungals. And since I got such a big advantage, I want to attack as soon as possible, so I don't want to wait for an upgrade. I had a Hydralisk in ready, but I didn't actually make any Hydralisks, as I decided to just go straight for roaches. And I used this Overlord to make a Nidus Worm, as this map is pretty big, and it's pretty easy to conceal Nidus Worms, especially if they don't have vision going. And I don't know what these lings are doing. I guess they were just sort of scouting or something. And he uses the remainder of his mutas. I was making like a couple Hydralisks at one point to go defend it, as 3 mutas aren't really going to kill a hatchery. That's a lot of health. And it's really important to spread a Creed Tumor if you have queens. Now I have a Roach and Queen timing with +1 and lots of transfuse, and I'm not really worrying about a Muta threat, as I've killed most of them, and he's probably tech switching. So now I can go attack a third, and as soon as I see this, I'm like, okay. I was either expecting, you know, a couple of infestors and some roaches, but he went full-on roaches, and they were actually a bit too late. So he ended up losing his hatchery, his base, and I end up pushing here. Yes, with these infestors, and I didn't feel like it was necessary to fungal, because I just didn't feel like it was necessary to fungal, as I have plenty of DPS, and I could get even more DPS by spewing infested Terrans. The least they could do is, you know, some damage. And here is a really bad position for me to fight, and he is up on me on 1 Carapace upgrade, but I do have some transfuses. I end up taking down the hatchery, and at this point, it's like really 1 base of the 3 base, unless he has a hidden base. And I was kind of scared about that, but I scouted this base and there wasn't a base there, and really like, even if he had a hidden base, it would be really only 2 base against 3 base, and that base would be really weird to rally towards. And yep, so that's what basically happens, and I leave now I burrow. Well, ideally you should leave, but since queens are really slow off creep, they sort of just don't leave. And run away the rest of my infestors, and I'm saturating my 3rd base. Now I'm 3 base fully saturated, except this one, which is mining out as well. It is mining out because of that early shenanigans. Usually, it would mine out maybe a bit later or something, or because I was oversaturated in the beginning. But it doesn't really matter, as the game is sort of almost over by now. But the point of this whole commentary was that against Mutas, you can still play this Wings of Liberty style. Nothing has really changed. This would be considered a Wings of Liberty game, but the only difference is that the numbers of the units have been really changed. They've been changed, like the Mutalisk regeneration and the Mutalisk move speed. And the projectile is Infestors. They actually have a 10 range for fungal growth. So nothing has really changed except the numbers, and he sort of just loses. Even though people might think that Muta versus Muta is like the whole ZvZ thing, if you saw MLG where Ret versus Suppy or other things where they just kept going Mutaless, it doesn't actually have to be that way. And I didn't even need to get that, but I still was able to defend his Muta attack in this really, really wide open map, which is something else that HotS has implemented. So I hope you enjoy this commentary, and hopefully I will try to churn out some better games, as this is kind of less exciting than the previous one, but a bit more helping with ladder, I guess. So until next time.